Hello friends, welcome to my channel. So friends, today we are going to discuss about the senior consultant interview experience from Infosys. So friends, as you can see, like the interview has been taken on 10th of April 2023 and the duration for the interview was 45 minutes. So let's start. Let's roll out our video. But friends, I will request you like before moving forward, please like and subscribe if you are new to my channel because I made these kind of videos related to interview experiences. And so yeah, let's move forward. So yeah, like here you can see like there were two rounds. First one was technical and the second one was HR. So this time the technical round was telephonic, and the HR was also telephonic. So today we are just going to focus on the technical round questions. So let's start. Let's see like what are the questions that were asked in the interview. So yeah, like here you can see like the very first question was the basic introduction. So like this is the most of the companies start the interview with this question only. Like introduce yourself or tell me about something about yourself like this. So here you have to just introduce yourself, your name, your from the place from where you belong to, the technical skills, the projects, and your educational details, qualifications. So this is like some of the details that you have to mention here. And then the second question was role and responsibilities in the previous organization. So here you have to like briefly describe your project and also the daily tasks and responsibilities that you used to handle in that project. So the tech stack that is basically like there in that project, the technologies on which you have worked, everything, and how the workflow was in the project, how the data flow or the workflow was on day-to-day basis, daily basis. And then the third question is about the projects briefly and the question from projects. So suppose you explain your project, then there are chances that the interview will cross question from the answers that you will provide him. So yeah, like briefly prepare your projects, all the in and outs of your projects. So yeah, this is the third question, and the fourth question was what is create route. So friends, create if I tell about like create route, so basically it is a method that is basically used for creating a route so that the React component is rendered in the browser DOM node using the route that is created using this method. So this is the create route method. And then the next question he asked me was like, does browser understand JSX? If no, then how browser understand it? So the answer for this question is like the browser doesn't understand JSX because uh, for the browser only understands machine readable or machine language. So for that, what happens in the background? Like we have a Babel. Babel is basically a transpiler that is basically used to convert our JSX codes into browser understandable format. So yeah, like the answer for this question is like no, the browser doesn't understand JSX, and for making it understandable to browser, we have to use Babel. So yeah, this is the fifth question, and the next question was how React.js is different from the AngularJS. So yeah, like this is also like most of the asked questions of React.js from React.js. So, like if I talk about some of the basic differences between React and Angular is like React. So the very first is like React is developed by Facebook and Angular is from Microsoft and and Angular is from Google and React.js is a library and Angular is a framework. And React.js basically handles only the V part of MVC, and Angular handles all the MVC architecture. Like it is a full-fledged framework, and yeah, Angular like contains the type like is written using TypeScript, and React can be written using JavaScript and TypeScript both. So yeah, like these are the some of the differences between React and Angular. And then we have the next question is what is the lifecycle methods of the updating phase. So friends, if I tell you like the updating, what is the updating phase? So whenever like we have any state change in our component, then our component re-renders on the browser. So that is called the updating phase. And the different methods that comes under this phase is like get snapshot before update, should component update, and render also, and then component did update. And so yeah, like these are the methods of updating phase. And then the next question was like, what is error boundary and which life cycle method is used for it? So friends, if I talk about error boundary, so error boundary is basically used for handling any errors or any exception in our code, because we don't want our whole app to crash just because of an error. So that's why we use error boundaries in our code, so that if there is any error or any exceptions, then error boundary will handle it, and it will not like make our whole app crash. So yeah, that is the reason behind using error boundary. And if I talk about the lifecycle methods, so actually we have a component did catch method that is basically responsible for the error boundaries in class-based components. And if I talk about the functional components, then we have the package called React-error-boundary. So from that package, we can import the error boundary method, and we can use it easily in case of functional component. And then the next question is, what is server-side rendering? So friends, as you all know that React support SSR, server-side rendering. So if I explain SSR in a nutshell, so basically it is a process, like as the name suggests, like it is rendering the component on the server or the page on the server. So basically what happens, like instead of waiting for the JavaScript and CSS files to load, the user directly like sees the HTML file that is created on the server side, that contains all the information that is necessary for the user to see on the server itself. And then it is like displayed, like sent to the browser, and then the user sees the HTML static file. So it is very fast and optimized, like it optimizes our app. And this is a very good way for the advancement in the React.js. And then the next question was like, what is forward ref? So friends, we all know that in case of React, we used to pass props from the parents to child whenever we have to pass some data. And in case of props, like whenever we have an update in the state, then the page re-render. But the thing is, like if we don't want the component to re-render on the updated whenever the state got updates, so in that case, what happens? Like the parent passes the ref to use the forward ref method to pass the data from to one of its children, so that whenever the state or the data updates, there is no need to worry about the re-render and all. So that is basically the purpose of using forward ref. And then the next question that he asked me like is, what is React.memo? So friends, as we all know that suppose if I want to make you understand this with the help of an example. So suppose you have a component called app, and then inside the app you have one more component, child component called demo. And inside the demo, you have put some console.log. So whenever the state got updated, so then that demo will also got re-render. And whenever the demo will be re-rendered, that console will be printed on the console.log. So yeah, like this is the scenario where we can use the React.memo. So basically, we don't want the console.log to print every time whenever the component re-renders. So in that case, what we will do, like we will pass the React.memo, like we will pass the demo component inside React.memo. So it will not like update the re-render the demo component every time whenever the state will be updated. So yeah, friends, the next question that he asked me was like, what is context API and what is context hell? So friends, before starting context API, we have to understand prop drilling. So basically, prop drilling is a scenario in which like we have to pass data from the parent component to the deepest nested children. Like suppose there is a hierarchy in which there is a parent component, and then it is like there are multiple childs in between the hierarchy. and then there is a deepest child called child n component. So then we have to pass data from parent to child n. So in that scenario, we have to pass data to each of the childs one by one, and then at last the n minus one child will send the data to child n. So in that case, like we have to pass data to each and every one of them. In fact, we don't need to. In fact, we don't need to pass data. So that is called prop drilling. And to resolve this issue, we have context in our React. So basically, what context does is like it creates a context and provides a value to the context, and that value is globally accessed to by all the components in React.js. So suppose the child n component requires that value. So what it will do is like it will uh, like access the context using the context.consumer, and then that value will be like accessed by the child end component. So that is called context API. And if I talk about context help, so basically what happens like whenever our component or our code base keeps growing, so in that case, like when we have a multiple scenario in which we have multiple context, so in that case, like it is very much tough to access the values. So that scenario basically creates a context hell, and and that is what called context hell. So yeah, like that is so that's why like we it is suggested to use Redux because it is a state management library that is preferred for larger applications, and context is basically preferred over the small size applications or medium size applications. So that is the context. That is about context. And then he started asking me questions related to React routing. So friends, basically routing means like when we want to navigate from one page to another page. Like suppose we have a navigation bar in which we have multiple components like home, contacts, abouts, a menu. Like there are many different pages, and we want to switch from one page to another page. So that is basically React routing is. And in React, we have React Router DOM library that is basically used for the implementing routing in React. And inside from that React Router DOM, we have browser route, and switch and link also. So we have to use these four things for implementing routing in React. And then he asked me question related to Redux. So like what is Redux? So basically Redux is a like state management library that is basically used to store the state at a central repository, or you can say like a place that is accessible by all the components. So basically in Redux there is a single store, and we can create the store using create store method from the Redux library. And also like there are three or four components like action, reducers, view, and the Redux itself, like store itself. So yeah, like these are the four things inside Redux. And if I talk about the flow, so suppose there is an action triggered on the view, and as soon as the action will be triggered, the store and the reducer will take the previous store and the action that is triggered, and then it updates the store and then pass the new value of store to the store, like updates the store, and then the view is updated with the new value that is just get updated by the reducer into the store. So this is how the workflow is inside Redux. And then he asked me a practical question related to like how will you implement role based access using Redux. So basically he give me a scenario like suppose there is a employee table in which there are employees of different categories like employee or a staff or a senior. So like this there are different criteria of employees, and you have to like implement role based access. Like suppose if he is a senior, then he will access this much part of the website. If he's a junior employee, then he will access only this part of the website. So like this he asked me one question related to Redux. So friends, I answered this question. And then the next question was like, what is temporal dead zone? So basically, it is related to let and const. So basically, whenever we want to access let const outside of the block scope, then it will give us the reference error. And if we try to perform hosting using let and const, So then it leads to a temporal dead zone. So yeah, that is what called temporal dead zone. And then the next question that he asked me, like, what is HOC? So friends, basically HOC stands for higher order component. It is basically used when we want our component, like we want the same task to be performed by multiple components. So that is called HOC, and it basically takes a component as a parameter, as argument, and returns a new component uh, as the output. So yeah, that is what HOC does. And then the next question is like, what is the output of the equality operator of two objects with the same key value pair? So basically, he told me that suppose you have two JSON values, two JSON objects with the same key and value pairs. So and it is stored into two variables like const A and const B. So if we do like A double equal to B and A triple equal to B, then what will be the output, like true or false? So I told him false, because in objects we have the reference is matched. So yeah, that's why I told him the false, and it is correct also. So yeah, like this is the question. This is the all about the questions. And friends, thank you for watching the video. And please like and subscribe my channel if you are new to my channel. And let's uh, and thank you so much, friends, for